Her best friend said, at girls' night, "Honestly, I'd cheat if I were you. He's boring." My girlfriend laughed and said, "Who told you I am not?" She didn't know her phone was connected to the car Bluetooth while I sat in the driveway, waiting to pick her up. When she opened the door, I handed her the keys and said, "Uber's more exciting anyway." So here's the thing about being the dependable guy. The reliable one. The one who shows up when he says he will, does what he promises, and doesn't create unnecessary drama. Society tells you that's what women want. That being steady and consistent is attractive. That having your life together is a turn on. Yeah, well, that's a load of garbage. I'm going to tell you about the night I learned that lesson in the most brutal way possible. And honestly, best thing that ever happened to me. But we'll get to that. My name's David, I'm 32, and I work as an accountant for a mid-sized manufacturing company in Ohio. Not the most exciting job, I know, but it pays well, has good benefits, and I'm home by 5:30 most days. I own my condo, drive a decent car, hit the gym 4 times a week, and have my finances in order. By all accounts, I had my life figured out. The condo was a 2-bedroom place I'd bought 3 years back. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. No roommates, no landlord, no drama. I'd furnished it carefully over time, piece by piece, making sure everything I bought was quality, the kind of stuff that lasts. I had a solid routine down. Wake up at 6, gym by 6:30, work by 8, home by 5:30, meal prep on Sundays, finances reviewed every Friday night. I know how that sounds. But there's something satisfying about having your life organized, about knowing where you stand. I'd been dating Amber for 3 years. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue. She was 29, worked in retail management at one of those upscale department stores, and had this infectious energy that drew people in. The kind of person who could walk into a room and immediately become the center of attention. She was always laughing, always had some story about her coworkers, always knew about the newest restaurant or event happening in town. I liked that about her initially. I'm more introverted, more measured. We seemed to balance each other out. She'd drag me to social events I would have skipped, and I'd provide the stability and calm she claimed she needed after dealing with chaos at work all day. The first year was good. We'd cook dinner together, watch movies, take weekend trips. Normal couple stuff. She seemed happy. I was happy. Year 2 is when I started noticing changes. She'd get restless during quiet nights in, started sighing when I'd suggest staying home, would scroll through her phone during conversations. I chalked it up to work stress. Year 3 is when Blake showed up. New guy at her store. Suddenly it was Blake this, Blake that. Blake had this brilliant idea. Blake closed this massive sale. Blake suggested this great lunch spot. Every single day Blake was part of the conversation. Every time I'd mention how much she talked about him, she'd get defensive. Tell me I was being insecure, that he was just a coworker, that I was reading into things that weren't there. So I backed off. That's what you do when you trust someone, right? Yeah, look where that got me. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I can see all the signs I ignored. The way she'd get bored during our quiet evenings at home. How she'd scroll through her phone while I talked about my day. The increasing frequency of girls' nights out. The new interest in her appearance that coincided with a new hire at her store. Some guy named Blake who she mentioned way too often for someone who was supposedly just a coworker. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 3 months before everything imploded, Amber started pushing hard for us to move in together. Her lease was coming up, and she wanted to find a place together. Told me it was the natural next step, that we'd been together long enough, that it would be more practical financially. She started sending me listings. Apartments with bigger kitchens, places with gyms in the building, condos near my work. She'd sit on my couch scrolling through rental sites, pointing out features she thought I'd like. I wasn't against the idea, but something in my gut was telling me to pump the brakes. I liked my space, liked my routine, and I wanted to be certain before taking that step. So I told her I needed time to think about it, that I wanted to be thoughtful about the decision rather than rushing. She did not take that well. Suddenly, I was being accused of not being serious about the relationship, of being emotionally unavailable, of not prioritizing her. All because I wanted to think about a major life decision. We had our first real fight. She cried, said she felt like I was stringing her along. I stayed calm, said I wasn't saying no, just not yet, that we could talk about it again in a few months. She didn't speak to me for 3 days, then came back acting like nothing happened, but something had shifted. She was colder, more distant, but I stuck to my guns. Looking back, my gut was screaming that something was off. That's when the girls' nights increased dramatically. What used to be occasional became every single Thursday, plus random Fridays. sometimes Saturdays. She'd text me in the afternoon. Going out with the girls tonight? Don't wait up. Or, Jessica needs me tonight. Girl crisis. Or, Rachel's having a rough time, dinner and venting. Always vague. Always just believable enough that questioning it would make me look controlling. She'd come home late smelling like restaurant food. Immediately shower and get ready for bed. Wouldn't want to talk much. Just, it was fine. Same old stuff, you know how it gets. Then an hour on her phone before falling asleep, screen angled away from me. Nothing concrete, just enough to make that voice in the back of my head louder. But I pushed it down. Told myself I was being paranoid. The Thursday that changed everything started normal. Woke up at 6. Gym by 6:30. Work by 8. Regular day. Regular meetings. Around noon, Amber texted. Heading out with Jessica and Rachel tonight after work. Jessica's been dealing with ex drama all week. She needs us. Can you pick me up around 10:30 from Jessica's place? Sure, I typed back. No problem. What time you off work? 5, she said. Probably grabbing dinner first, then heading to Jessica's to hang. You're the best, thank you. That last part should have been a red flag. She only got extra appreciative when she felt guilty. Okay, babe, I sent. See you tonight. Have fun. She sent back a heart emoji. I finished my afternoon. Quarter-end reports. Client call. Boss meeting. Left work at 5:30 sharp. Hit the gym. Leg day. Full hour. Stopped at the grocery store after. Chicken, vegetables, meal prep supplies. Home by 7:30. Made dinner. Grilled chicken. Roasted broccoli. Rice. Ate while watching that World War II documentary I'd been working through. 8:30, started meal prep. Cut vegetables, seasoned chicken, portioned everything. By 9:30, my fridge was stocked for the week. Cleaned the kitchen, took a shower, checked the time. 10:05, Jessica's place was 20 minutes away. I grabbed my keys, wallet, phone, put on a jacket. The temperature had dropped. Checked my gas tank through the app. 3/4 full. More than enough. Left at 10:15. Windows cracked. Cool night. Some podcast about financial planning playing. 20 minutes later, I pulled into Jessica's parking lot. Found a spot near her building. Texted Amber. Got here early. Take your time, no rush. She read it immediately. No response. I put my phone in the cup holder. Turned on music. Figured I'd wait a few minutes. That's when Amber's phone connected to my car's Bluetooth. See, she'd connected her phone to my car months ago. We'd been on a road trip and she wanted to play DJ. I never thought to remove the pairing because why would I? I trusted her. And she clearly forgot it was paired because what happened next? Yeah, my music cut out. There was a second of silence. Then I heard voices. Clear as day, like they were sitting in my car with me. It was Amber and her friends. I recognized Jessica's voice immediately. And another girl, Rachel, who worked with them. I should have disconnected right then. Should have turned it off. But I didn't. I sat there frozen as their conversation flooded through my speakers. Jessica was talking first. Something about her ex texting her again, wanting to meet up. The usual post-breakup drama. Then Rachel chimed in. This is where it gets fun. You should totally go see him, Rachel said. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You're single now. Jessica laughed. I don't know. Feels like going backwards, you know? Sometimes backwards is fun, though, Amber said. Familiar is comfortable. There was a pause. Then Rachel said something that made my blood run cold. Speaking of fun, when are you going to do something about your situation, Amber? My situation? Amber asked, but I could hear the smile in her voice. What situation? Come on, Rachel said. You've been complaining about David for months. How bored you are. How predictable everything is. Jessica literally told me last week you were thinking about... I'm not thinking about anything, Amber cut her off. But there was no conviction in her voice. It was playful, teasing. Jessica jumped in then. Amber, honey, I love you. But you need to make a decision. Either commit to David or move on. This in-between thing you're doing isn't fair to anyone. My hands were gripping the steering wheel now. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. In-between thing? What in-between thing? I'm not doing anything, Amber said. But she was laughing. Literally laughing. Oh, please, Rachel said. We've all seen the way you look at Blake, and the way he looks at you. The tension is ridiculous. Blake's just a friend, Amber said. A friend you text until 2 a.m.? Jessica said. A friend you do coffee runs with 3 times a day? Come on, Amber. We're not stupid. There was a pause. Then Amber spoke again, and her tone had shifted, gotten more serious. Okay, fine, she said. Blake is interesting. He's fun. He makes work exciting. but that doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. Yet, Rachel said. You're not doing anything wrong yet. Another pause. Longer this time. Then Jessica, in a tone that sounded almost encouraging, said this. Honestly, I'd cheat if I were you. David's boring. He's stable and he's nice, but boring. You're 29, Amber. You should be having fun, not playing house with an accountant who gets excited about meal prep. They all laughed. All three of them. I felt something crack inside my chest. Something that had been holding everything together. And then Amber spoke. And with 5 words, she destroyed 3 years. Who told you I'm not? Silence. Then squealing. High-pitched, excited squealing like she'd just announced an engagement. Wait. What? Rachel practically screamed. Are you serious right now? Oh my God, Amber, Jessica said. How long has this been going on? I couldn't hear Amber's response. Not because the Bluetooth cut out, but because my ears were ringing. My vision had tunneled. Everything around me felt distant and muffled, like I was underwater. Who told you I'm not? She wasn't planning to cheat. She was already doing it. I sat there in my car, in that parking lot, while the 3 of them dissected my girlfriend's infidelity, like it was juicy gossip, like I was some punchline, some boring obstacle she'd finally gotten around to stepping over. They were talking about Blake, about when it started. Apparently it had been going on for about a month. Nothing serious, Amber claimed. Just fun. Just excitement. Just something to break up the monotony of dating someone stable. My phone buzzed. A text from Amber. Coming down now. I looked at my phone, then at the steering wheel, then at the apartment building where my girlfriend was about to walk out, completely oblivious to what I'd just heard. And something clicked in my brain. Something cold and clear and absolutely resolute. I wasn't going to cry, wasn't going to yell, wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to do exactly what I do best. Stay calm, stay controlled, and systematically remove this problem from my life. I reached over and disconnected her phone from the Bluetooth. The voices cut off mid-sentence. I sat back in my seat, took a deep breath, and waited. 2 minutes later, Amber came walking out of the apartment building. She was laughing at something, typing on her phone, probably texting Blake if I had to guess. She looked up, saw my car, and smiled. That same smile she'd given me 1,000 times before. Except now, it just looked fake. She walked over and opened the passenger door. Hey, babe, she said, sliding into the seat. Sorry, lost track of time. You know how it is. I looked at her, really looked at her. And I saw a stranger? Yeah, I said. I know exactly how it is. She buckled her seatbelt, still looking at her phone. Thanks for picking me up. You're the best. I reached into my center console and pulled out my car keys. All of them. House key, car key, the spare key to her apartment she'd given me. I held them out to her. She looked up, confused. What's this? Your ride, I said. Well, former ride. You'll need to find another way home. Her face went from confused to concerned. David, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that your phone connected to my car Bluetooth about 15 minutes ago. And I heard everything. I watched the color drain from her face in real time. It was almost satisfying. Almost. David, Save it, I said. I don't want to hear it. I'm not interested in explanations or excuses or whatever you think is going to fix this. You cheated. You laughed about it with your friends. You called me boring. And honestly, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But I'm also entitled to remove myself from the situation. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take these keys, get out of my car, and find your own way home. Maybe call Blake. I hear he's fun. She was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. David, please. Let me explain. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I said. You've been sleeping with Blake. For about a month, if I heard correctly. And you told your friends that I'm boring and predictable. So congratulations. You got what you wanted. Freedom from the boring, stable guy. Now get out. She started crying then. The whole performance. Tears. Trembling lip. The works. David, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. It didn't mean anything. Blake doesn't mean anything. You're the one I love. If I'm the one you love, I said, voice flat. You've got a really strange way of showing it. I reached across her and opened the passenger door. Out. Now. She didn't move. Just sat there sobbing, probably waiting for me to cave. Waiting for me to comfort her and tell her it would be okay and that we'd work through this. Yeah, that wasn't happening. I pulled out my phone and opened the Uber app. Then I turned the screen toward her. See this? I said. I can either wait for you to get out voluntarily, or I can call you an Uber and sit here while you wait for it in the parking lot. Your choice. But either way, you're not getting back into this car. Something in my tone must have finally gotten through to her. She grabbed the keys from my hand, gave me one last desperate look, and got out of the car. I didn't watch her walk away. I put my car in reverse and left. The drive home was surreal. I kept expecting to feel something. Anger, sadness, devastation. But all I felt was cold certainty that I'd done the right thing. When I got back to my condo, I went straight to work. Started with my bedroom. Pulled out everything of Amber's that had accumulated over 3 years. Clothes, toothbrush, face wash, hair ties, slippers. I put it all in a garbage bag. Then the living room. The throw blanket she'd bought. The decorative pillows. The candles. The framed photos of us from trips and dinners and parties. All of it went in the bag. Kitchen next. Her special iced tea. The expensive granola. The vanilla creamer. The crackers. Gone. By the time I finished, I had 2 full garbage bags, and my apartment looked like mine again. No traces of her anywhere. Then, the digital purge. Blocked her number. Blocked her on every social media platform. Created an email filter to send anything from her straight to trash. I moved every photo of her into an album to delete later. Complete scorched earth. I wasn't going to give her the opportunity to manipulate me, to cry and promise to change. I knew that playbook. No thanks. I slept better that night than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls from Amber, 63 text messages. My phone had been on silent all night. I didn't read any of them. Just deleted everything and moved on. At work, my coworker Jennifer noticed something was off. "You okay?" she asked. "Ended things with my girlfriend last night," I said. Found out she was cheating. Her eyes went wide. "I'm sorry, David. That's rough." "It is what it is," I said. Better to know now. At lunch, Jessica called. I'd forgotten to block her. I answered, curious what angle they'd try. "Amber told me what happened," she said. "She's devastated. Can you please just talk to her?" "No," I said. Just like that. 3 years doesn't mean nothing. She loves you. She messed up, but people make mistakes. People make choices, I corrected. She chose to cheat. She chose to laugh about it with her friends. Those were decisions. And I'm making a decision too. I'm deciding I'm worth more than that. She really does love you, David. If that's what her love looks like, I said, I'll pass. I hung up and blocked her number too. Added Rachel to the block list as well. They'd all encouraged it. Every single one of them was complicit. Over the next few days, the mutual friends started reaching out. The Switzerland crowd who wanted to remain neutral, but also wanted to check in. See how I was doing. Get the full story? Word travels fast when a 3-year relationship implodes. I kept my responses simple and consistent. Amber cheated, I found out. We're done. End of story. No elaboration, no details about the Bluetooth situation, no emotional breakdowns. Just facts. Some people tried to push for more information. Asked if I was sure. Suggested maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe I should give her a chance to explain. I wasn't interested in relitigating it. The facts were clear. She admitted to cheating. I overheard her admit it while laughing about it with her friends. There was no ambiguity here. No room for interpretation. The ones who pushed too hard got cut off too. I wasn't going to surround myself with people who thought infidelity was negotiable, or who felt the need to defend her actions. If you can't respect my boundaries, you don't need to be in my life. About a week after the breakup, my buddy James called me. He'd been on a guy's trip when everything went down, so he was just hearing about it. "Bro," he said, "I heard about Amber. That's rough." "Yeah," I said. It was what it was. "You doing okay?" "Honestly, better than I expected. Feel like I dodged a bullet." He laughed. "That's the spirit. Look, I'm having some people over Saturday for the game. You should come by. Get out of your head for a bit." I appreciated that. James was good people. Didn't try to psychoanalyze the situation or offer unsolicited advice. Just showed up and invited me to hang out. So I went. And it was exactly what I needed. Just some guys, some food, some football. Normal, drama-free existence. Nobody mentioned Amber. Nobody asked intrusive questions. We just watched the game, talked about regular stuff, and had a good time. At one point, James pulled me aside. "You know everyone's talking about what happened, right?" "I figured," I said. "Amber's been telling people her side of things, saying you overreacted, that it wasn't as bad as you made it seem." I shrugged. "Let her tell whatever story she wants. I know what I heard." "Good," he said. "Because between you and me, half our friend group thinks she's full of it anyway. The other half will figure it out eventually." I wasn't worried about the friend group politics. The people who mattered would understand. The ones who didn't weren't worth keeping around anyway. Life continued. Work stayed busy, which was good. gave me something to focus on other than the relationship wreckage. I threw myself into a few projects that had been on the back burner, picked up some overtime when it was offered, and started actually enjoying my routine again without someone constantly criticizing it. Turns out, when you're not constantly managing someone else's boredom and drama and need for excitement, you have a lot more energy for yourself. Who knew? About 3 weeks after the breakup, I was at the gym when I ran into Blake. Well, I didn't run into him. He approached me, looked uncomfortable as hell. "Hey man," he said, "can we talk?" I didn't stop my workout, just kept doing my reps. "Sure. Look," he said, "I know about everything, and I just wanted to say I didn't know she was in a relationship when things started." I paused mid-rep and looked at him. "You work with her. You knew she had a boyfriend. Everyone at your store knew. He had the decency to look ashamed." "Okay, yeah. But she made it sound like things were basically over, that you guys were on the verge of breaking up anyway." "Did she?" I said, going back to my workout. "That's interesting, because we were literally planning to move in together. But sure, basically over." Blake shifted his weight awkwardly. "Look, I'm not trying to make excuses. What happened was messed up. But for what it's worth, I ended things with her last week. That got my attention." "Oh yeah?" "Yeah. She's a lot. Drama, manipulation, constantly playing the victim. I realized pretty quick that I'd stepped into a situation I wanted no part of. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. But mostly I just felt vindicated." "Well," I said, "thanks for the warning. Little late, but appreciated." He nodded and left. I went back to my workout, feeling even better about my decision. If Blake, the exciting coworker she'd risked everything for, couldn't handle her for more than a month, that told me everything I needed to know about who she really was. 2 months post-breakup, I was doing great. Better than great, actually. I'd started dating again, casually. Nothing serious, just getting back out there. Remembering that I had value and options and didn't need to settle for someone who treated me like a backup plan. I'd also made some changes to my life. Started taking guitar lessons, something I'd always wanted to do but never made time for. Picked up hiking as a hobby. Started saying yes to more social events. Turned out I wasn't boring. I'd just been boring with the wrong person. Then I got a text from an unknown number. "David, it's Amber. Please don't delete this. I know I don't deserve to talk to you, but I need you to know how sorry I am. I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I think about it every single day. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I destroyed it. If there's any chance at all, that you'd be willing to talk to me, I would do anything to make this right. I love you. I never stopped loving you." I read it 3 times. Not because I was considering responding, but because I wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining the audacity. Then I blocked that number too. No explanation, no closure, no final conversation, just silence. Because here's the thing people don't tell you about being the reliable guy, the stable guy, the boring guy. You learn real quick who actually values those qualities and who just wants a safety net while they go chase excitement. Amber wanted excitement. She got it. And from what I heard through the grapevine, Blake wasn't the only one. After he ended things, she apparently went through a whole string of exciting guys. None of them lasted. None of them gave her the stability she'd taken for granted. And now she was alone, realizing that maybe boring and predictable weren't the worst things in the world. But that wasn't my problem anymore. About 4 months after everything went down, I was at a coffee shop working on a side project, financial consulting for small businesses, something to keep my mind sharp and make extra money on weekends. A woman approached my table, mid-20s, professional looking. "Excuse me," she said. "I don't normally do this, but I've seen you here a few times. Are you a financial consultant?" I looked up. Yeah. I'm an accountant, but I do consulting on the side." She smiled. "Perfect. I'm starting a business and I'm lost on the financial side. Any chance you'd be willing to chat about it?" "Sure," I said. "I've got time now." Her name was Olivia. She was starting an online boutique and needed help with books, taxes, and financial modeling. We talked for 2 hours. She was sharp, asked good questions, took notes. I found myself enjoying it. Not just teaching, but her. She wanted to understand, not just be told what to do. By the end, I'd agreed to help her set up her financial system. And then she asked if I was single. I wasn't expecting that, but I was interested. For the first time in 4 months. "I'm single," I said. "Yeah, I'd like that. Let's get the business stuff figured out first, then we can do dinner." "Perfect," she said. Over the next 3 weeks, we met 4 more times. I helped her set up bookkeeping software, walked her through tax implications, built a financial model. She was a quick learner. By our 4th meeting, she had a comprehensive plan. You're all set, I told her. Thanks to you, she said. What do I owe you? How about dinner instead? I said. We went to an Italian place that night. Talked for 3 hours. She told me about growing up wanting to do fashion but getting a business degree to be practical. About how she was ambitious but understood starting a business was hard. I told her about my life, my work, my approach to planning. I was honest about the breakup. 3-year relationship, girlfriend cheated, I found out, ended it immediately. She didn't judge, just said that sounded hard. Then she said, for what it's worth, I don't think you sound boring at all. You sound like someone who has his life together. And that's attractive. Something in my chest unclenched. That was 6 months ago. We've been dating ever since. Olivia thinks my stability is attractive. She appreciates that when I say I'm going to do something, I follow through. Her boutique launched 3 months ago, and it's doing better than projected. Revenue's up 40% from initial forecasts. She's already thinking about expansion. She hits me up sometimes with financial questions. Should she hire an employee or stay solo for now? Is this marketing expense worth it? How should she structure her pricing for wholesale versus retail? I help when I can. It's satisfying seeing her succeed. Last month, she brought up moving in together. Said her lease was coming up. Would I be interested in finding a place together? I told her I needed to think about it. No fight this time. She just said, okay, take your time. 2 weeks later, I said yes. We've been looking at places since. Saw 3 apartments last weekend. One was too small. One was perfect, but way overpriced. The third one is in the running. 2 bedrooms, good kitchen, parking for both cars. Going back for a second look next week. Her parents want to meet me. They're coming to town next month, taking us to dinner. She's nervous about it, but trying to play it cool. I'm not worried. Parents usually like me. Work's been solid too. Got assigned a major client last week. Manufacturing company expanding to 3 new locations. They need comprehensive financial restructuring. It's the kind of project that could lead to a promotion if I handle it right. My boss pulled me aside yesterday. Said he's impressed with how I've been performing. Asked if I'd be interested in a senior analyst position that's opening up in Q2. More money, more responsibility, small team to manage. I said yes. Interviews scheduled for next month. I ran into Amber one more time, about 8 months after the breakup. Grocery store on a Sunday afternoon. I was with Olivia, debating which cheese to get for some recipe. Amber was in the checkout line, alone. She looked different, thinner, hair shorter and a different color. She looked up and saw me. Saw Olivia. Her face went through about 6 emotions in 3 seconds. I didn't acknowledge her. Just turned back to Olivia and kept talking about cheese like Amber wasn't there. Let's get both, I said. We can try the burrata, and if that doesn't work, we have the mozzarella as backup. Olivia laughed and squeezed my hand. We walked right past Amber's checkout line. As we loaded groceries into the car, Olivia said, "Was that her?" "Yeah. You okay?" "Never better." And I meant it. 2 months post-breakup, I was doing great. Better than great. I'd started dating again, nothing serious. Just getting back out there. Went on a few dates through apps. A lawyer named Christine who talked about her ex the entire time. A nurse named Kelly who was nice, but we had zero chemistry. A teacher named Amanda who seemed great until she mentioned she was still legally married but separated. I wasn't in a rush, just testing the waters, remembering that I had options. I'd also made some changes, started taking guitar lessons. Something I'd always wanted to do but never made time for when I was with Amber. Turned out I wasn't terrible at it. My instructor said I had good rhythm, just needed practice. Picked up hiking too. Found this group that did weekend trails. Met some cool people. No drama, no pressure, just folks who liked being outdoors. Started saying yes to more social events. James's cookouts. Work happy hours I used to skip. A book club one of my coworkers invited me to. Turned out I wasn't boring. I'd just been in a relationship that made me feel boring. Then I got that text from an unknown number. David, it's Amber. Please don't delete this. I know I don't deserve to talk to you, but I need you to know how sorry I am. I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I think about it every single day. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I destroyed it. If there's any chance at all, that you'd be willing to talk to me, I would do anything to make this right. I love you. I never stopped loving you. I read it once, then blocked that number too. No response, no closure, just silence. A few months back, Jessica reached out again. Different number. Apologized for her role in everything. Said she felt terrible about encouraging Amber. Said she'd been going through her own stuff and wasn't thinking clearly. Told me Amber had actually tried to get her to reach out on her behalf multiple times. Wanted Jessica to convince me to talk to her. Jessica finally told her no. Said, what Amber did was wrong and she wasn't going to help fix it. I appreciated the honesty, the apology, but I didn't reinstate the friendship. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. Wished her well and left it at that. She understood. Said she got it. Hoped I was doing well. Last I heard through mutual friends, Amber's still single. Still going through guys. Nothing sticks. Blake wasn't the only one. There have been others since. One lasted 3 weeks. Another made it to 6 weeks. Current record holder is 2 months. Apparently, she's developed a reputation at her store. The dramatic one. The one who creates problems. Management's had to talk to her twice about keeping personal drama out of the workplace. Me? I'm planning that Colorado trip with Olivia next month. Booked a cabin in Estes Park. 4 days, 3 nights. Going to hit Rocky Mountain National Park. Do some serious hiking. Maybe see some elk. Olivia's been researching trails. Made a whole spreadsheet of options ranked by difficulty and scenic views. She's thorough like that. I like it. After that trip, we're signing a lease together. Found a place last week. 2 bedrooms, updated kitchen, washer, dryer, and unit, parking for both cars. Perfect location between both our jobs. Move-in date is set for 6 weeks out. We're already planning furniture. What to keep, what to buy new, what to get rid of. She's got good taste. Modern, but comfortable. Nothing too flashy. Yesterday, Olivia's boutique hit a major milestone. She called me excited. Sold out of an entire product line in 48 hours. Had to emergency order more inventory. Good problem to have. She's talking about expanding. Maybe hiring someone part-time to help with fulfillment. Maybe attending a trade show to find new suppliers. Maybe opening a small physical retail space in a year or 2. I'm helping her build out the financial projections for all of it. Cash flow models. Break-even analysis. Risk assessment. It's fun. Feels good being part of someone's growth instead of being told you're holding them back. Work's been good too. That promotion I mentioned? Interview went well. Really well. Boss said I'm the top candidate. Should hear something official by end of month. Got assigned a major client last week. Manufacturing company expanding to 3 new locations. Comprehensive financial restructuring project. Could run 6 months. Looks great on a resume. The team I'd be managing if I get the promotion? 3 people. All good. 2 are veterans who know their stuff. One's newer but eager. Should be fine. James invited me to his wedding next spring. Asked if I'd be a groomsman. I said yes. Bought the suit last week. Olivia's coming as my +1. She's excited. Already planning what she'll wear. Life's just good. Normal. Stable. Exactly what I want. I saw Amber's friend Rachel at a coffee shop last week. She pretended not to see me, but I caught her staring. Looked away quick when I made eye contact. Didn't approach. Smart move. The mutual friends who stuck around all get it now. Even the ones who were skeptical at first. Amber's pattern became obvious after a few months. They saw what I saw. Some have apologized for not believing me initially. I don't hold it against them. One guy, Chris, told me he ran into Amber at a bar a month ago. She was hitting on some dude who clearly wasn't interested. Looked miserable. He felt bad for her for a second, then remembered what she did, and the sympathy disappeared. I didn't ask for details. Didn't care to know more. That chapter's closed. Olivia and I spent last weekend hiking. Found this trail we'd never been to. Moderate difficulty, about 6 miles. Views were incredible. Packed sandwiches, found a good spot by a creek, had lunch there. Talked about random stuff. Her family. My work. What we want to do with the 2nd bedroom in the new place. Office. Guest room. Combination? She fell asleep on my shoulder for a bit, just sitting there by the creek. I let her rest. No reason to wake her. That's the kind of life I have now. Peaceful. Uncomplicated. No constant drama or need for excitement or validation from multiple sources. My parents asked about Olivia last time we talked on the phone. When am I bringing her home? They want to meet her. I told them probably Christmas. Give us time to get settled in the new place first. Make sure everything's solid. They approved. Said she sounds good for me based on what I've told them. Mom already likes her. Dad's reserved judgment, but that's just how he is. The condo's going on the market soon. Real estate agent came by yesterday. Did a walkthrough. Said it should sell quick. Good location. Well maintained. Fair price. Going to use that money as down payment on something bigger down the line. Maybe a house in a couple years if everything keeps going well. Olivia and I talk about that sometimes. Future plans. What we want. Where we see things going. Kids eventually, maybe. Not for a while, but someday. It's all very mature. Healthy. Adult. Everything with Amber was chaos pretending to be a relationship. This is actually a relationship. I deleted those photos from my phone last month. The ones I'd put in that album to delete later. 30 days turned into 8 months, but I finally did it. Clicked through and deleted every single one. Felt nothing when I did it. Just freed up storage space on my phone. Olivia's meeting my friends this weekend. James is having a cookout. She's excited, little nervous, but excited. I told her they'll love her, and they will. She's easy to be around. No drama. No games. Just a good person who appreciates having someone reliable in her life. That's my story. Found out girlfriend was cheating through car Bluetooth. Ended it immediately. Blocked her everywhere. Met someone better. Moving forward. No revenge plots. No trying to ruin her life. Just moved on. And that worked out perfectly. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true. Mom smirked. She loves him, not you. Let him have the house and money. I signed the divorce papers instead and took everything. Hey, Reddit. So my mom told me to hand over my wife to my brother at the dinner table, while everyone just sat there like this was normal family business. Let me back up because this story is wild, and you need the full context to understand just how messed up my family really is. I'm Nathan, 32 male, and I've been the family ATM for as long as I can remember. My younger brother Kyle, 29 male, has always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one who got endless chances and blank checks while I got lectures about responsibility. Classic middle-class family dysfunction, except I was funding it with my actual money. Growing up, the favoritism was so blatant, it would make a reality show. Producer, blush. Kyle got a car for his 16th birthday, a decent used Honda that my parents were so proud to give him. I got a lecture about responsibility and a bus pass. When I asked why the difference, my dad said I needed to learn the value of hard work. Kyle apparently didn't need that lesson because he was still finding himself. I worked through high school at a hardware store, saved every penny, and bought my own car at 17. A beat-up Toyota that leaked oil and had a tape deck that ate every cassette I put in it. My parents praised Kyle for accepting their gift graciously. They told me my car was embarrassing, and I should park it down the street when their friends came over. College was the same story. I got a partial scholarship and worked 2 jobs to cover the rest. Graduated with $15,000 in student loans that I paid off myself within 3 years. Kyle went to a private school that cost $60,000 a year because he deserved the best education. My parents covered 2 years before the money ran out. Then guess who got the phone calls? Nathan, your brother really needs to finish his degree. Can you help out? Just $20,000 to get him through senior year. We'll pay you back. They never paid me back. Kyle dropped out anyway in his 5th year to pursue his passion for photography. The $40,000 camera equipment I bought him is probably gathering dust in my parents' garage right now. My parents, Joyce and Harold, have this twisted worldview where Kyle deserves everything because he's sensitive and needs support, while I'm expected to finance their lifestyle because I'm strong and successful. Translation: I worked my butt off building a tech consulting firm, while Kyle bounced between failed ventures that I bankrolled. The double standards didn't stop at college. When I started my business 7 years ago, I asked my parents for a small loan, $10,000 to cover initial expenses. I had a solid business plan, letters of intent from potential clients, everything. My dad looked at me like I'd asked him to rob a bank. Nathan, we can't just hand out money. You need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. What if the business fails? We'd lose everything. 2 months later, Kyle wanted to open a food truck. No business plan, no experience in food service, just a vague idea about artisanal grilled cheese. My parents gave him $15,000 without blinking. The food truck lasted 3 months before Kyle got bored and abandoned it. I ended up buying the truck from him for $8,000, just so my parents wouldn't lose their entire investment. The truck is currently parked behind my office building. I use it for company events. Kyle uses the story to tell people he inspired my success. Then there's Ashley, my wife of 10 years. The woman who supposedly loved me, who kissed me goodbye this morning and told me she'd see me at my parents' house for dinner. The woman I trusted with everything. We met in college, one of those meet-cute situations where she spilled coffee on my laptop in the library. I was pissed until I looked up and saw her standing there, genuinely apologetic, offering to pay for repairs. We started talking. She was sweet, funny, ambitious, studying communications with dreams of working in public relations. I fell hard. Proposed after 2 years of dating. She said yes without hesitation. The wedding was small. My parents complained it wasn't fancy enough, that I should have spent more to make Ashley feel special. I'd already dropped $30,000 on the event, money I'd saved from my first year running my business. Kyle was my best man. He got drunk at the reception and hit on 3 of Ashley's bridesmaids. Everyone laughed it off as Kyle being Kyle. Our marriage was good at first. Ashley supported me while I built the business, or at least that's what I thought. She stayed home, worked on her graduate degree in marketing that I paid for, managed our household. I worked 80-hour weeks, traveled for clients, did whatever it took to make the business successful. And it worked. Within 5 years, I had 20 employees and revenue in the 7 figures. Ashley finished her degree but never really pursued work. Said she wanted to focus on starting a family. That's where things got complicated. We tried for 3 years to have a baby. 3 years of negative pregnancy tests, doctor appointments, fertility specialists. Ashley took it hard. Harder than I did, honestly. Every month when her period came, she'd lock herself in the bathroom and cry for hours. I tried to be supportive, told her we were enough, that a baby would come when it was meant to, that we could look into other options if needed. But the pressure from my family made everything worse. My mom would make comments at every family dinner. "Still no news?" she'd ask Ashley, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "You know, you're not getting any younger. Maybe you should try harder. Try harder." Like Ashley wasn't already taking hormones that made her sick, wasn't already tracking every cycle, wasn't already doing everything humanly possible. Kyle, of course, made it worse. He'd joke about how he was too fertile and needed to be careful because babies just happened around him. My parents would laugh. Ashley would excuse herself to the bathroom. I started declining some family dinners just to spare her the humiliation. That's when my mom started calling me selfish for putting my wife before my family. About 6 months ago, things shifted with Ashley. She seemed lighter somehow, less stressed about the baby thing. Started spending more time at the gym, getting her nails done, smiling at her phone. I figured she was finally accepting that maybe kids weren't in our cards, that she was focusing on herself again. I was relieved, honestly. Thought we were getting back to being just us. Looking back now, all the signs were there. The late-night study groups for a class she'd already finished. The weekend girls' trips that Kyle coincidentally was also absent for. The new lingerie I definitely didn't buy her. But I trusted her. I trusted my brother. I trusted that my family wouldn't betray me in the worst possible way. Shows what I know. So picture this. Sunday dinner at my parents' place. Nothing unusual. Mom made her famous pot roast. Dad opened some fancy bottle to celebrate Kyle's latest business idea that would inevitably need my checkbook. Standard family gathering. I walked in and immediately noticed something off. Ashley and Kyle were sitting next to each other, which was weird because Ashley usually sat next to me. Mom was bustling around with this satisfied smile that made my stomach turn. Dad wouldn't look at me. "Sit down, Nathan," Mom said, gesturing to the chair across from Ashley. "We have something important to discuss." I sat. That's when I really looked at Ashley. She had this glow about her, and her hand kept drifting to her stomach in this protective way. My brain started connecting dots I didn't want to connect. "Nathan," Mom started, slicing her pot roast like she was about to discuss the weather. "We need to talk about your marriage." I looked at Ashley. She was staring at her plate. "Your brother and Ashley are in love," Mom continued, her tone matter of fact. "She's 4 months pregnant with Kyle's baby. They want to be together, and we think the mature thing is for you to step aside gracefully." The words hit me like a freight train. I actually laughed. One of those shocked, disbelieving laughs that sounds borderline unhinged. "Excuse me?" Kyle finally spoke up, his voice defensive. "Nathan, man, we didn't plan this. It just happened. You're always working, always traveling. Ashley needed someone who was actually there for her." 4 months? I repeated, my voice sounding distant even to my own ears. "You've been sleeping with my wife for 4 months?" "Longer than that," Kyle said, and there was this edge to his voice, this smug satisfaction. "Almost a year, actually, but she's been pregnant for 4 months." Ashley still wouldn't look at me. She just sat there, picking at her food, letting Kyle speak for her. I turned to my parents. Surely they'd be furious. Surely my mom would be screaming at Kyle for this betrayal. But Mom just took a sip of her drink and looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. "Nathan, think about this logically," she said. "You're a career man. You built a successful company. You can survive on your own. Kyle needs stability. He needs a family. And this baby, this is my grandchild. My flesh and blood. I'm your flesh and blood too," I said, my voice rising. "Ashley is my wife. Technically," Dad finally spoke, not even bothering to look up from his plate. "But the marriage is over, isn't it? You two have been growing apart for months. We've all seen it. Kyle makes her happy. Just look at them. I looked. Kyle had his arm around Ashley now. She was leaning into him, her hand on that small bump I hadn't noticed because I'd been working 80-hour weeks to pay for everyone's lives. The nausea was overwhelming. We need to discuss logistics, Mom continued, like we were planning a vacation. Kyle can't just move into some rental with a baby on the way. He needs stability. We think it's best if you move into that downtown condo you own. Leave the house to Kyle and Ashley. My mouth fell open. You want me to give them my house? It's Ashley's house too, Mom said dismissively. Community property and all that. Besides, you have plenty of money. You can buy another one. Don't be greedy, Nathan. Greedy. The word echoed in my head. I had paid off my parents' mortgage 3 years ago. I bought them their cars. I funded Kyle's 5 different business ventures that all crashed and burned. I paid for Ashley's graduate degree, and I was greedy for wanting to keep my own home. The house is in a great school district, Mom added. Close to us so we can help with the baby. It just makes sense. I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against their hardwood floor. Sit down, Mom commanded. We're not finished. I'm finished, I said, grabbing my keys. This is insane. If you walk out that door, Kyle said, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was an intimidating tone, you're proving exactly why Ashley left you. You care more about your assets than family. You're cold, Nathan. Always have been. I care about loyalty, I said, my voice shaking. I care that my wife has been sleeping with my brother for a year while I paid all her bills. Lower your voice, Mom hissed. What will people think? I looked at them, really looked at them. My parents, orchestrating this betrayal like it was some kind of merger. Kyle, smirking because he was finally getting what he thought he deserved. Ashley, still silent, still refusing to meet my eyes. I'm not giving you the house, I said clearly. And I'm not giving Ashley a divorce without a fight. Yes, you will, Mom said confidently. Because if you don't, you'll lose this family forever. Do the right thing, Nathan. Be the bigger person for once. I walked out, didn't run, didn't slam the door, just left with whatever dignity I had remaining. The drive home was a blur. I kept replaying the scene, looking for the moment where this became a sick joke. But it wasn't a joke. My wife was pregnant with my brother's baby, and my parents thought I should just hand over my house and move on. When I got home, to the house I bought, that I'd renovated myself, I just sat in the driveway for a while. The lights were off inside. Ashley's car was still at my parents' house. This was my space, and suddenly it felt like a crime scene. I went inside and started looking. I don't know what I was searching for exactly, but I needed evidence that this was real. In her nightstand, I found a jewelry box I'd never seen before. Inside was a silver charm bracelet I didn't buy her. Each charm told a story I wasn't part of. A tiny baby shoe, a heart with 2 initials, K and A. In the bathroom trash, buried under tissues, was a positive pregnancy test. 4 months old, based on the date scribbled on the wrapper. Her closet revealed more secrets. New clothes with tags still attached. Expensive brands I definitely didn't buy. A receipt tucked into a shoebox for a romantic dinner at the nicest restaurant in town, dated 3 months ago. I'd been in San Francisco that weekend for a client meeting. In her laptop, which she'd left open on the kitchen counter, I found email threads between her and Kyle going back 14 months. Subject lines like, "Can't wait to see you," and "Last night was amazing, and when are you going to tell him?" I read through them all. Every single one. Torturing myself with details I didn't need to know. They'd first hooked up at my parents' anniversary party last year. I'd been there the whole night, completely oblivious. They'd snuck away while I was talking to my uncle about investment strategies. The affair escalated quickly after that. My business trips became their opportunities. Family dinners became foreplay. They'd text each other sitting across the table from me, making plans for later. I sat on our bed, my bed now, I guess, and tried to process everything. 10 years of marriage. 10 years of building a life together. And she'd been with Kyle for one of those years. How many family dinners had I sat through while they were laughing at me? How many times had I paid for Kyle's latest failure while he was sleeping with my wife? My phone started buzzing. Messages from my mom. "Nathan, don't be dramatic. Come back so we can discuss this like adults. You're hurting Kyle. He's very sensitive about this. Ashley is crying. She needs support right now." I blocked her number. Then Kyle. "Bro, I know this is hard, but Ashley and I are in love. Real love. You'll understand someday." Blocked. Ashley finally. "Nathan, please, we need to talk. I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened. Kyle was there when you weren't." I stared at that message for a long time. She was blaming me for her cheating. Classic. I didn't respond. Just set my phone on silent and opened my laptop. First call, my lawyer. Left a voicemail that I needed to see him first thing Monday morning. Second call, my accountant. Same message. Third call, my best friend Sam, who happened to be a family law attorney. Sam picked up on the second ring. Nathan, what's wrong? I told him everything. The dinner, the pregnancy, my parents' demand that I hand over my house. He was silent for a long moment. Nathan, I need you to listen to me very carefully, he said. Do not leave that house. Do not sign anything. Do not engage with any of them. I'm coming over right now, and we're going to build a case that will destroy them. I don't want revenge, I said. But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. Yes, you do, Sam said. And you should. What they're doing isn't just cruel. It's fraud. If they're trying to pressure you into giving up assets, that's financial coercion. We can use this. Let me help you. Sam showed up an hour later with a briefcase and a digital voice recorder. We spent the next 4 hours going through everything. Finances, property deeds, text messages, everything. Here's what we know, Sam said, making notes. The house is in your name only. You bought it before the marriage with your own money. In most states, that makes it separate property. Ashley's name is on the mortgage refinance from 2 years ago, I said. Did she contribute to the payments? No, I paid everything. She was in grad school. Sam smiled grimly. Even better. We can argue she has no legitimate claim. And if she's been cheating for a year, we can push for a fault-based divorce. That means she gets nothing. What about my parents? What about them? They have no legal standing in your marriage. But if they've been helping facilitate the affair, if they've been pressuring you to sign over property, we can explore harassment claims. At minimum, we cut them off completely. I nodded. The shock was wearing off, replaced by cold calculation. I want to audit everything, I said. Every dollar I've given them. Every business venture I funded for Kyle. Every bill I paid. I want it all documented. Sam grinned. Now you're thinking like a lawyer. Document everything. Record every conversation. Don't delete any messages. They're handing you the evidence to bury them. Monday morning, I was at my lawyer's office at 8. By noon, I had filed for divorce citing adultery. By 2, I had frozen all joint accounts. By 4, I had sent cease and desist letters to my parents demanding they stop contacting me about marital assets. Ashley called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. Kyle sent me a long text about how I was overreacting and ruining everyone's happiness. I screenshotted it for my lawyer. Mom left a voicemail calling me selfish and ungrateful. I saved it. That night, I changed the locks on my house. All of them. Garage code, front door, back door, everything. Around midnight, Ashley showed up with Kyle. I watched them from my security camera, standing on the porch, trying keys that no longer worked. Nathan! Ashley screamed, pounding on the door. This is my house too. You can't lock me out. I called the police. Told them my estranged wife and her affair partner were trespassing. The operator asked if I felt threatened. I said yes. 2 patrol cars showed up within 10 minutes. I watched from the upstairs window as officers talked to Ashley and Kyle. She was crying, pointing at the house, probably explaining how unreasonable I was being. One officer came to the door. I opened it with my lawyer on speakerphone. Sir, is this your residence? The officer asked. Yes, solely mine. My name is the only one on the deed. Your wife claims she lives here. She did. She also committed adultery with my brother, and I filed for divorce. Here's the documentation. I handed him copies of the filing. He read through them, then looked back at Ashley and Kyle. Ma'am, you need to leave the property, he told Ashley. This is a civil matter. You'll need to work it out through the courts. But my clothes are in there. My things. The officer looked at me. I nodded. She can retrieve her personal items with a police escort. Tomorrow, after I've had a chance to document what's hers versus what's mine. Ashley's face crumpled. Kyle tried to argue, but the second officer shut him down. You need to leave now, or you'll be arrested for trespassing. I watched them drive away in Kyle's beat-up sedan, the one I'd helped him buy last year. The next day, Ashley came back with 2 officers and my mom. I had already packed all of Ashley's clothes and personal items into boxes. Everything she'd brought into the marriage. Her graduate degree materials, her jewelry, the charm bracelet Kyle gave her. What about the furniture? Mom demanded, looking around at my living room. I bought all of it, I said calmly. Before we were married. It's mine. The law says this is my separate property, purchased with my premarital assets, I interrupted. My lawyer confirmed it. She's welcome to take anything she can prove she bought with her own money. Ashley looked around the house. At the couch I'd saved for months to buy. The dining table I'd refinanced from an estate sale, the TV I'd gotten as a work bonus. She owned none of it. This is cruel, she whispered. What's cruel is sleeping with my brother for a year, I said. What's cruel is letting me pay your student loans while you were planning to leave. Take your boxes and go. She left with 3 boxes of clothes and some books. That was it. 10 years of marriage, reduced to 3 cardboard boxes. My mom stayed behind after the police left. Nathan, you're making a mistake, she said. Family is everything. You can't just cut us off. Watch me. What about the baby? That's your niece or nephew. That's Kyle's problem, not mine. We raised you better than this. I laughed, actually laughed. You raised me to be a checkbook. Well, the checkbook is closed, permanently. You'll regret this when we're gone, she said, her voice shaking. The only thing I regret is not doing this years ago. She left. I closed the door and locked it. Over the next few weeks, my lawyer, a guy named Thomas, who specialized in high-asset divorces, worked magic. We discovered that Ashley had opened a credit card in my name 2 years ago, maxed it out on random purchases. That was fraud. We found that Kyle had borrowed $70,000 from me over the years for businesses that never materialized, all documented in bank transfers with notes like for Kyle's restaurant and Kyle's app idea. But it got worse. Thomas hired a forensic accountant who went through every financial record with a microscope. What we found was staggering. Ashley had been siphoning money from our joint account for over a year. Small amounts at first. 200 here, 300 there. Nothing I'd noticed with money coming in and out for business expenses, but it added up to over $40,000 transferred to an account I didn't know existed. That account? Jointly owned by Ashley and Kyle. They'd been planning this for a long time, building a nest egg with my money while plotting to take my house too. Thomas also found that Kyle had used my social security number to apply for business loans. 2 of them, totaling $90,000, had been approved. The businesses failed within months, and the loans defaulted. My credit score had taken a massive hit, and I had no idea why until Thomas uncovered the paperwork. This isn't just infidelity, Thomas said, spreading documents across his conference table. This is systematic financial abuse and fraud. We're talking criminal charges if you want to pursue them. I wanted to pursue them. We compiled every receipt, every payment, every financial transaction that showed the clear pattern. I funded their entire lifestyle while they betrayed me. Thomas filed motions for everything. Fraud charges against Ashley. Collection proceedings against Kyle. Financial disclosures from my parents showing I'd given them over $300,000 in the past decade. They're going to fight this, Thomas warned me. Let them. I have receipts for everything. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Ashley's lawyer tried to argue she deserved half of everything because she supported my career by managing the household. Thomas ripped that apart in court. He showed that we had a cleaning service I paid for, that I did my own cooking, that Ashley's management consisted of spending my money on grad school and personal expenses. Then he brought up the affair. Ashley's lawyer tried to claim it was irrelevant. The judge disagreed. Mrs. Wilson, the judge said, peering over his glasses, you engaged in an extramarital affair with your husband's brother. You became pregnant with the paramour's child while still married. These facts are absolutely relevant to questions of spousal support and asset division, Ashley cried. The judge was unmoved. Kyle showed up to one hearing, trying to support Ashley. Big mistake. Thomas had him served with papers right there in the courthouse. A lawsuit for the $70,000 he owed me, plus interest. You can't do this, Kyle shouted. That was a gift. Your text messages say otherwise, Thomas replied calmly. You specifically promised to pay it back once your businesses succeeded. None of them succeeded. Time to pay up. Kyle couldn't pay, obviously. He filed for bankruptcy within a month. My parents tried to intervene, calling the judge's office to complain about my vindictive behavior. That earned them a lecture about inappropriate contact and almost got my mom held in contempt. The final divorce decree came through 3 months later. Ashley got nothing. No alimony, no property settlement, nothing. The judge found that her adultery and fraud negated any claims she might have had. She was ordered to pay back the credit card debt she'd fraudulently incurred. Kyle was ordered to pay child support for the baby that wasn't mine. My parents were ordered to stay away from me. I'd gotten a restraining order after Mom showed up at my office screaming. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. The fallout was spectacular. Kyle and Ashley got married in a quick courthouse ceremony. No reception, no honeymoon. They moved into my parents' house because neither of them could afford rent. Living together destroyed whatever fantasy they'd built up during the affair. Turns out sneaking around is a lot more exciting than actual domestic life. My cousin Mike, the only family member I still talk to, kept me updated on the disaster. They're fighting constantly, he told me over coffee one day. Ashley expected Kyle to provide for her like you did, but Kyle's broke. He can't even pay for his own phone bill without asking your mom for money. And my parents are okay with this? Mike laughed. They're miserable. Your dad had to go back to work part-time at 67 because they can't afford to support 2 adults and a baby on their retirement savings. Your mom complains constantly about Ashley leaving dirty diapers everywhere and eating all their food. The schadenfreude was real. Kyle tried to get a job. Multiple jobs, actually. But his resume was a graveyard of failed ventures and gaps in employment. Nobody wanted to hire a 29-year-old with no real work experience and a criminal record for fraud. Oh yeah, I pressed charges for the identity theft. Kyle got convicted, received 2 years probation, and had to pay restitution. Since he couldn't pay, the court garnished the wages from whatever job he could get. He ended up working at a fast food place for minimum wage. The same guy who used to brag about being too entrepreneurial for traditional employment was now asking people if they wanted fries with that. Ashley, for her part, discovered that being a stay-at-home mom isn't the luxurious lifestyle she'd imagined when you're living in someone else's house with no money. She'd gone from shopping at high-end boutiques to clipping coupons. My mom, who'd orchestrated this whole disaster, was living her own nightmare. She'd imagined being the doting grandmother, hosting family dinners where everyone celebrated Kyle and Ashley's love. Instead, she was raising another child at 65, while her son and daughter-in-law fought about money and blamed her for ruining their lives. Because here's the thing, Ashley cheated on Kyle too, just like she cheated on me. Ashley cheated on Kyle, Mike told me over coffee 6 months after the divorce, with the same personal trainer from her gym. DNA test proved the baby isn't his either. I almost felt bad for Kyle. Almost. He lost it, Mike continued. Showed up at your parents' house screaming. Tried to throw Ashley out. She called the cops. He got arrested for domestic disturbance. The DNA revelation was the nuclear bomb. Kyle had destroyed his relationship with me, blown up his life, and gone into debt. All for a baby that wasn't even his. My parents were stuck with a daughter-in-law they couldn't stand, a grandchild that wasn't genetically related to them, and a son who blamed them for encouraging the relationship in the first place. The beauty of it was, I didn't have to do anything. They'd destroyed themselves. Sounds like a mess. Your mom keeps asking me to talk to you. She thinks if I ask, you'll help them. What did you tell her? I told her you're done. Some bridges, once burned, turned to ash. Mike was a good guy. About 8 months after the divorce finalized, Dad's health took a turn. Years of stress, from working past retirement age, from housing 2 adult children who hated each other, from watching his golden child fail spectacularly, caught up with him. He had a heart attack on a Tuesday morning, survived it, spent a week in the hospital, came home weaker than before. My mom called me from the hospital. I let it go to voicemail. Nathan, it's your mother. Your father had a heart attack. He's asking for you. Please, whatever problems we have, he's still your father. Please come. I deleted the message. She called 7 more times that day. I blocked her number. Kyle tried next, leaving a voicemail that somehow managed to be both pleading and accusatory. Nathan, Dad's in the hospital, man. He needs you. I know we've had our issues, but he's our father. You can't just abandon family when things get hard. That's not who you are. I laughed at that one. Kyle lecturing me about abandoning family. The same Kyle who stole my wife. The irony was almost beautiful. I didn't go to the hospital. Sent flowers with a card that said, wishing you a speedy recovery. Professional, impersonal, done. Dad came home from the hospital but never really recovered. Mike said he mostly sat in his recliner, watching TV, while the house fell apart around him. Ashley and Kyle fighting in one room, the baby crying in another. My mom stressed beyond capacity trying to hold it all together. The man who'd told me I needed to learn the value of hard work was now watching his golden child work at a fast food joint while living in his basement with a wife who couldn't stand him. 6 months later, Dad had another heart attack. This one he didn't survive. Mike called to tell me. Didn't ask if I was coming to the funeral. Already knew the answer. Are you going to the funeral? He asked anyway. No. Your mom's asking for you. She can keep asking. I didn't go. Sent flowers with a card that said, condolences to the family. Professional. Distant. Done. Part of me felt bad about that. Dad wasn't the worst father in the world. He'd taught me to change a tire, helped me with math homework, showed up to some of my baseball games, but he'd also chosen Kyle over me at every opportunity, enabled Kyle's failures, and sat silently while my mom demanded I give my wife and house to my brother. At some point, being a decent father in small moments doesn't outweigh being a terrible father in the moments that mattered. Mom tried one last time after the funeral, showed up at my office building, made it past security somehow. She looked old, fragile, the kind of fragile that's supposed to make you forget how they hurt you. Nathan, she said, tears streaming down her face. Please, I'm sorry. Your father's gone. Kyle won't speak to me after the whole Ashley situation. I'm alone. I'm your mother. Please don't abandon me. I stood there in my office lobby, my assistant hovering nearby looking uncomfortable. You abandoned me first, I said quietly. At that dinner table. You chose Kyle and Ashley. You called me greedy for wanting to keep my own house. You enabled them to betray me. You don't get to come back now because your plan failed. I made a mistake. I was trying to help both my sons. No, I interrupted. You were trying to maintain control. You saw me as a resource, not a son. And when I cut off the money, suddenly I became worthless to you. That's not true, isn't it? When's my birthday, Mom? She blinked, confused by the change in topic. When is it? I pressed. She hesitated. June? July? March 14th. I'm 32 years old, and my mother doesn't know when I was born. The reality of that hung between us. But I know Kyle's birthday, I continued, because you threw him a party every year. I know when Ashley was due because you called me weekly with updates. I know every detail of their lives because you never stopped talking about them. But you don't know basic facts about me because you never cared to learn. Nathan, do you know what I do for work? Not just tech consulting? Do you actually know what my company does? Silence. Do you know my favorite food? My best friend's name? The last vacation I took? More silence. You don't know anything about me except my bank account balance. And now that the account is closed, you have no use for me. You're making a mistake. Family is everything. I thought about Sam, who'd helped me through the divorce without asking for anything. I thought about my team at work, who'd celebrated my birthday even when I tried to keep it quiet. I thought about Mike, who kept me sane through all of this. You're right, I said. Family is everything. I just finally found mine, and you're not in it. Security escorted her out. She tried calling a few more times over the next months. Left voicemails about how Kyle had moved out, how Ashley had moved back to her parents' house in another state, how she was alone in that big house with memories of what could have been. I never called back. Eventually, Mike told me she'd sold the house. Couldn't afford it on Dad's pension and Social Security. She moved into a small apartment in a senior community. Last he heard, she was telling the other residents about her successful son who lives out of state, and her troubled son who she's trying to help. In her version of events, I was the villain who abandoned the family. Kyle was the victim who needed saving. Some people never learn. I threw myself into work after all this, grew my business 40% in 1 year, hired more people, stopped funding anyone's dreams but my own. About a year after the divorce, I ran into Ashley at a coffee shop. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, baby strapped to her chest in one of those carriers. She saw me and froze. I nodded politely and walked past her to order my coffee. Nathan, she called out. I turned. Can we talk, please? I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 10 years. This stranger who destroyed my trust. No, I said simply. I'm sorry. I know I messed up. Kyle and we're not together anymore. He couldn't handle that the baby wasn't his. I'm alone. I'm struggling. The government assistance barely covers anything. I just need... Ashley? I interrupted gently. I don't care. Her face crumpled. But we were married. We had a life together. You were always so generous. Always helping people. Can't you help me? Just this once? For old times' sake? You spent a year sleeping with my brother while I paid your bills. You tried to take my house. You committed fraud against me. There are no old times worth remembering. I made a mistake. I was confused. Kyle manipulated me. Kyle didn't manipulate you, I said. You're both adults who made choices. Now you get to live with those choices. Please, Nathan. I have a baby to feed. Then get a job. You have a graduate degree that I paid for. Use it. I took my coffee and left while she stood there crying. The old Nathan would have stayed, would have written her a check, would have felt guilty for weeks. The new Nathan kept walking and didn't look back. It's been 2 years now since that dinner. I'm doing well, better than well, actually. The business is thriving. I bought a house in the mountains, away from the city, away from memories. I'm seeing someone. Elena. She's a graphic designer I met at a conference. We've been together for 8 months, and she doesn't know about my money. Doesn't care about it. She likes that I'm handy around the house, that I can fix her laptop when it crashes, that I make her laugh. We're taking things slow, and for the first time in my adult life, I'm not anxious about being used. She met Mike last month. They got along great. She asked me why Mike was the only family member she'd ever heard about. I told her the truth, told her everything about Ashley and Kyle, about my parents' betrayal, about choosing myself for once. She didn't judge, just held my hand and said, "Good for you. Some people don't deserve access to your life." That's when I knew she was different. Last week, Mike called with news. Kyle got arrested for insurance fraud, tried to file a fake claim after his car got stolen. The car I'd co-signed for 3 years ago, that he still owed payments on. He called me from jail, Mike said, wanted me to ask you for bail money. What did you say? I laughed and hung up. That's the thing about being the family ATM for so long. When you finally close the account, people get desperate. They try everything: guilt, threats, sob stories, medical emergencies. But once you see them for what they really are, once you understand that they never valued you beyond your bank balance, it becomes surprisingly easy to say no. Kyle's facing real jail time now. The judge wasn't sympathetic to a repeat offender with a history of financial fraud. Last Mike heard, he's looking at 18 months minimum. Ashley moved back to her home state with the baby, working as a receptionist at a dental office, living with her parents who are equally thrilled about the situation. She deleted all her social media after people from our old circle kept commenting about the drama. My mom still lives in that small apartment. Mike says she's bitter, telling anyone who'll listen that her sons abandoned her in her time of need. She never mentions her role in destroying both her sons' relationships, never acknowledges that she's the architect of her own loneliness. I don't feel bad for them. I paid my dues. I funded their lives for years while they treated me like a convenience. When I finally stood up for myself, they called me cruel. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.